Welcome back to Marketing Corner Talks, the Business Talks edition, where we take early stage startups and bold ideas and turn them into live business cases. Today, we're talking to my good friend, Pascal Sarin, founder of Cushy Social Inc., a new kind of social networking app, one that dares to say no to endless swiping and black box algorithms and predatory paywalls. Crushy is built for people looking to connect as friends, moms, dates, or even just over shared hate for pineapple on pizza. With no ads, no algorithms, and free filtering, Cushy is putting control back in the hands of users and adding local perks to make connections feel more human again. But like every early stage startup, Pascal is facing one major challenge. How do we find the first users when we're up against billion-dollar incumbents like Tinder and Bubble? Let's dive into this conversation. Pascal, thank you very much for coming, my friend, and thank you for your time today. How are you doing?
Thank you, Dave. Happy to be here. I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good, my friend. I'm really excited about this journey. You're creating something very interesting. I'm kind of curious, what sparked this idea? What started this journey?
So about over 15 years ago, my mom was single. They got divorced many years ago. And yeah, she never really found someone that, would be the right partner for her. She tried everything. And back then, there were no dating apps, only dating websites. And I had some success, and I told her, hey, why don't you try that, right? And she did. And the problem was those sites, they cost a lot of money, $99 per month to get presented with some profiles that don't even, match what you want. And then even like a chat, if you want to chat with someone, you had to pay up, right? You had to buy credits to chat or to send some virtual flower or something. And I thought that's way too steep, way too expensive. And even back then I told her I wish I had time and then I would create something that is affordable or even free. But I didn't have the time and money and all that. And then 2 years ago, she passed away, and I, realized she never really found that partner, right? And reading about Tinder making $2 billion per year, I was just fed up. I was like, guys, they make a ton of money by keeping people single. I thought, now I have the skills and the drive, and I'm going to create a new app. An app that actually cares about the people. Money is not first, it's second. First, I want to connect people and not just dating. That's what it started as a dating app. That's why it's called Crushy. But later I figured, why not connect more people? My wife, she mentioned, she's a mom, and she said, it would be cool to connect with other moms. And so I implemented that. It took me like 10 minutes. And now you can, as a mom, find other moms. And then also the gay community, they got an app called Grindr. And I've tried it out, for research purposes. And
Yeah, yeah.
oh man, it's so steep. Like $20 per week is like the minimum. And if you don't pay, you don't see all the profiles. You see like a handful of profiles near you. And I was like, man, I just do the same thing. I just create the same mode and show you everybody. And it's way more affordable. So that's the idea of Crushy, just a app for everyone and for an affordable price. So basic connection is free. You can connect and chat, and there's premium if you want more. So
But
that's the idea.
as you said, it's more than what we call a dating app, because that's
Yeah.
typically where people think. But it's more than it's a connection. It's a connection
Yeah.
to individuals. It doesn't matter what your motivation is. Crushy is about connecting you and building your community.
Exactly. Yeah. There's way more. And I have much more planned. I have so many ideas. But yeah, one new thing that I'm working on is local perks. I had the idea when I was getting a haircut, you know. I was like, people usually before a date or a meeting, they go have a pedicure or haircut or something. Maybe we should add that. Maybe we can give discounts or offers for businesses in Vancouver. And that's now something I'm working on to implement. So it's going to be more than just dating.
Have you thought about how you turn it into the a revenue model that if it's not going to collect money from individuals, how would it collect money from elements to in order to support?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, especially in the beginning where you don't have a lot of users. I cannot just offer premium and nobody's going to sign up for that. I need a lot of users before I can introduce that. So for right now, it's everything is free. Premium is free. All the features are free that are normally premium. And local perks, the idea is that you have to have an active membership. So I created this vendor portal, a website where businesses can create their own offers and discounts. Crushy premium members can redeem that on that website. So there's a lot of ideas currently how I could make money with that. But for now, it's just free to get people on board.
So you're rethinking this whole model of how to deliver this in a different way. You're using filtering and search. And why did you prioritize that, for an example?
Yeah, that's true. I try to fix a broken industry. Actually, I think all the dating apps are broken. They don't really do what they should do, right? Connecting people. And my idea is that let's try something that helps people, right? And what would help people? Well, if they can just get what they want, right? Not some algorithm that will present you some profiles that you're not interested in, but just let you search. That's the idea. You just go there to Crushy. You say, hey, I'm like, let's say I'm looking for someone who likes video games and someone who likes Italian food, who has a certain body type or whatever. You just put that into the filters and those people will pop up, right? And then you can like them or not. Very, very simple. And I think those algorithms, first of all, I don't think those algorithms actually are real algorithms. They claim they have an algorithm here. No, it's just some random, come on, it's random. And because I've tried it, I've tried them all, and I get people where I set my preferences, and I don't see those people showing up. So it's just random, So I thought I'm going to ditch all that. I'd let you search and find.
So, Pascal, do us a little compare and contrast. If, say, take for an example Tinder or whatever Bubble, whatever you think, and do a little compare and contrast for us. Tell us like how the user experience is differ on Crushy versus the bigger player.
So Tinder is the biggest one, and they are famous for their swiping gesture, right? You can swipe left or right. It's also more focused on photos, right? Photos are front and center, and not many care about the person. Let's be honest, right? I mean, if you're on Tinder, especially as a man, you're not into like getting a relationship, right? You want something casual. And so people make this split second decision just by looking at the photo and be like, no, yes, no, yes. And that's definitely working. I mean, let's be honest, they make $2 billion per year. It is working. So there is a need for that. But my research showed that there's so many people who just want to, have a deeper connection. Crushy offers both. We offer we call it surf mode. Surfing on the surface, like Tinder, you can look at the photo, you can say yes or no. That's in there. But if you want something deeper, then we have dive mode. And dive mode is more focusing on the bio of the user, and the user photo is pixelated, so you can't really see who they are until the conversation warms up. So you can choose what you want. If you want a friend or a relationship, you get into dive mode. If you want something casual, you have surf.
Excellent. Excellent. So now you talked at the very beginning about the big challenge. The big challenge is finding those users. How do we get those people coming, building momentum so that you can get more people involved and more investment into this to help grow it and make it happen? So, what is your current go to market approach right now? How are you driving the message of this?
Well, to be honest, it's tough. I put in a lot of money. It took me 18 months to build this app from zero, and now it's out. Yeah, I don't have much money left. I work as a part-time job. I work in a college downtown Vancouver. I have access to a lot of students,
Mhm.
but they are all, young adults, and I found that they're not really into dating apps anymore, right? It's a certain type of person. But I had some that are interested and signed up and let me test with them, um, and they're now on board. But it's really hard to get the word out. I found, a couple of years ago, it was, as far as I can tell, it was a bit easier, especially Instagram. But now they have like AI and they can tell what's in the video or what's in the photo. And if
Mhm.
they're not happy with that, they're not going to share your content much. I'm looking for someone who wants to be on TikTok and Instagram, who sees the potential of Crushy, who wants to help out. Something like a co-founder who is here for the journey and learning and all that, because I'm not the guy, I'm not really happy to be in front of a camera and promote my business. Uh, but yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm actually on TikTok. I am on Instagram and trying my best, but it's hard. The number one thing that I know would help is marketing. Without marketing, nobody knows about the app. And with money, you can do a lot. You can go to influencers. You can buy an advertisement spot on a bus or downtown Vancouver. I'm looking into creating stickers, and I'm going to plaster downtown with those because they're a bit more affordable for me. But that's the plan, to get some investment money for marketing.
So with these early people that you're testing and have come to the platform and started using it, what are you starting to notice? Who is that target market? Who are you trying to reach first to really get that initial swell going?
It's a good question. Yeah, investors always ask me that, what is your niche, right? And I say everybody. Like, I don't have a niche. The goal is to offer this for everyone. I went to Grinder, that dating app for men, and I talked to a lot of people there. I said, I'm so sorry to do this like that, but I made an app and I think it's much better than this experience here with all the ads and all that. It's free to try it out. And so I talked to about 100 people, and well, nobody signed up. Like, it's so tough.
But but Pascal, if you're looking at your like the current user right now that's come in and started to engage with it, what do they look like? Who are they?
Well, it's a bit too early to tell, to be honest. Um, I was gonna say that was my idea, that I maybe try with gay men first.
Yeah.
Maybe that's one area where we can definitely show that we have a better experience with Crushy. So the goal was to bring in those men first and see how it goes. But it could be that the moms discover it and connect, and anything makes me happy, like, but it's a bit too early to tell because I just launched the app last week and I don't have like hundreds of users yet.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. So let's talk about launch. So you're launching this now. So what kind of campaign or user experience are you envisioning?
Um, well, it's hard again, it's hard to say because it depends on the budget, right? If you have more budget, I could give you a much better onboarding experience, right? If I had more time, I can make it better. Um, for launch, my dream was, yeah, to have a marketing campaign up and running and people sign up for the wait list. That didn't happen. I discovered it's not as easy as you think. I did everything I could. I made a waiting list. I made a whole website. I talked to people. But if you don't have money, I think it's really tough. If you have money, it's way easier, right? Then you can target people with marketing and do
So,
much more, right?
well, Pascal, let's go further. Let's imagine that you do have unlimited money and you do have unlimited time. What would this look like? Where do you see this going?
You mean just the initial campaign?
The whole thing, like
Yeah.
the what do you see? What do you see the future for Krushy to be?
As a founder and creator, I'm going to be bold. You know, people laugh, but I don't care. My goal is, yeah, Crushy. I always tell my students, like in 10 years from now, you know, everybody knows Tinder right now, right? Even people who never used it. If you say Tinder, they're like, oh, yeah, dating app. I want that to be the case in 10 years. Like in 10 years, Crushy, they're like, oh, yeah, okay, dating app. And Tinder, I don't know what, I think that was an app like years ago, something like that. So to do that, to make that happen, the idea is to launch in Vancouver because there's a lot of singles here. It's hard to connect here, even make friends, even some friend to go to a pub. It's really hard to do. So I find Vancouver is the best place to do that. And once we have a user base, we're going to expand into bigger cities, Toronto and Montreal and all that. And then from there to the US and then global, right? That's the plan. And someday I will get there. I'm confident in that because I know I have a great product.
Yeah, and again, Pascal, it sounds like a great product, and it sounds like a great. And you know something, entrepreneurs, we always face these challenges and roadblocks, but there's always ways to find the grind and push through the grind and to reach the opportunity, especially if you really believe in something. And hey, we're doing it for mom, so we're doing it for mom
Absolutely. Yeah.
number one. So what when you I want to go back through the journey. So what's something that you learned while you're building Crushy?
It's a tough one, though. I don't have a good example right now. Something that surprised me while building Crushy.
Yeah, like when you're going through that journey of doing discovery, figuring out other apps, looking at Tinder, looking at this stuff, and what really surprised you?
Yeah, I think one thing that surprised me is that people, although they rant about those dating apps, you know, they have a very bad stigma attached. They still use it. They still pay for it for something bad. You know, like it's a bit disencouraging sometimes when you see people paying. And me personally, I think is a bad user experience. You know, and you can make the same for cheaper and better. And then when you try to convince them, they're like, nah, I rather pay for Bumble or Tinder and don't try your app. I just saw a post like 2 days ago on Reddit where someone asked, what would be a good dating app? And people said, well, I want to, you know, connect deeper. I don't like the photos. I'm like, okay, I have that. Okay. And then, all those things that I've built into Crushy, they talked about that. They're like, yeah, we want that. We want this. I want to find friends, not just dates. I'm like, yeah. Someone was like, hey, I want perks like, you know, some discounts or ideas where we can go to for a date. I'm like, yeah, I have that too. But it's then hard to talk to those people and you even get blocked when you try to answer as a business, right? And so that's something that I've learned, that people stick to what they know, right? Even though it's not really good, right? Like, for example, I take Grinder again because Grinder is infested with ads and really expensive. But people pay, right? Because that's the place to be. And we don't want to know about a new place. You don't even have much users yet. Yeah, that's true, but why not give it a try? It's free. You sign up. Right? So that's something that I've learned, that you can't convince people really. Like, I don't know what has to happen that people believe in your project.
Well, and it's always the battle that entrepreneurs face is that you're solving a problem differently, and it's trying to find the users to show them that you can solve the problem better, and it takes time. People are habitual. They
Exactly.
don't like
Yeah.
to change the routine until the problem is broken, until the solution is really broken, until they can see that there is a better solution there, and they're willing to try it. So you're on the right path, my friend. Do not give up. Keep persisting. But I do have to ask, as you're going through this, how do you stay grounded when building something that pushes against status quo like this, that challenges what the norm is out there?
Well, I'm lucky I have two daughters. You see that those kids, they don't care who you are and what goals you have and dreams. You're just their dad, right? So that keeps me grounded. And I come from a background where, yeah, we don't have a lot of money. I think, those people or those companies who have so much money, millions of dollars, billions sometimes, that's not my goal. I have a different view. My goal is not like Silicon Valley where we just build and ship fast and fix later. I'm the opposite. I think personally that's really stupid to do something like that. I want to build something that I think is helpful, and then I um, find my market fit, right? So yeah, just basic things. Have two daughters. And be grounded by looking at helping people, not by benefiting.
Which is marvelous, my friend, because I think that it's a new social enterprise when we start thinking about how can we help people in a different way. We're not looking to extremely capitalize on this. We're looking to survive and make available to users to help solve some really good problems that need to be solved in a different way, and not to as you said, not to be always faced with paywalls and advertising and everything to
Yeah.
offset it. Like, give the user the right experience to get the right outcome. I love it, my friend. So what advice would you give to other first-time tech founders trying to disrupt legacy players like Tinder and Bubble and all those things? Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I'm the right person to answer that because I didn't do it yet, right? I didn't disrupt yet. But I feel like the number one thing I can tell you right now, I'm using AI as you should. You should learn AI, even in marketing, of course. Don't do the mistake and vibe code, right? Vibe code is like this new thing where people who can't code prompt the AI to create an app or a website, and then if it fails, they don't know what to do, right? They can't fix it. So that's number one. Don't like only build something when you can, not just because ChatGPT can do it, because you will fail. I've seen it where people are asking, "Hey, what can I do? Like the app doesn't work. I have 600 users, uh, but I can't add the new feature because I can't code." Like maybe you should have thought about that first. I did it because I can. I have a lot of experience. I worked in the field for like 20 years. And so I was lucky to be able to do something like that. If you can't code, or if you're not technical, then find someone, which is also not as easy as I thought. That's another thing that surprised me, that finding a co-founder, especially if back then it was a dating app, right? That's really tough. Like nobody's like, oh yeah, let's create a new Tinder, and that was really hard. So yeah, find good people, and when you're coding, you should know coding, not just vibe coding.
I love it, my friend. Great words of advice. So Pascal, how do people connect with you? How can we get these early users? How can we get our listeners to sign up and join Crushy? Tell us, how do we access it? How do we get to know you? How do we get involved?
Yeah, the easiest is just go to crushy.social. That's the website. There's 2 links to the app stores. You can find Crushy on TikTok and on Instagram. And you can find me on LinkedIn. Just connect with me, and I'm happy to talk.
Perfect. And that, of course, is Pasquale. And Pasquale, your last name is Zirn, and you can find him on LinkedIn. Thank you, Pascal, for bringing us this world of Crush. I'm so excited to see where you go with this. I'm definitely going to have to bring you back in a little while to see how things are wrestling around, and I hope we're going to be able to get some students and faculty engaged in this case to get you out there. But I love what you're building. I love your mission. I love what you're doing. The movement you're bringing, it's meaningful, it's equitable, it's connecting, it's building community. To our students, faculty, and listeners, here's the case. This is your challenge. I want you to design a grassroots campaign to find Crushy's first 1,000 users. Propose a launch strategy for acquiring users without relying on ad spend. No ad spend. I want you to develop a brand positioning plan that clearly communicates Crushy's values. And I want you to think about a pitch, a Crushy local perks partnership model with small businesses. Faculty, my friends, you're teaching entrepreneurship, brand strategy, or digital marketing. This case is for you. Bring Crushy's challenge into your class. If your students want to help shape the future connection, reach out to us at info@marketingcornertalks.com to collaborate with myself, Pascal, and the team. Until next time, keep building bold ideas that challenge convention. Thank you very much.